The path of freedom and the path of humanity. Hello, this is Chris speaking. Wake up with a video about the path of freedom and the path of humanity. It has been suggested that people on a spiritual journey sooner or later choose between two paths, the path of freedom and the path of humanity. They're not absolutely mutually exclusive, but usually one tends towards one more than the other. An example of the path of freedom is UG, and the path of humanity, Meher Baba and Sri Aurobindo. A combination of both would be, for example, Jed McKenna. So what are those two paths? The path of freedom is to delve inside and to work by yourself. The path of humanity is to work for humanity and to stay within humanity, to not pull back and be a recluse in the mountains or the forest, but, for example, to start an ashram or start a school or start any kind of project that benefits others. You can also do it like the Buddha, first the path of freedom and then realize that this is not enough and to choose the path of humanity afterwards. Or the other way around, because in the path of freedom you can go much deeper, undisturbed, unfettered by social norms, emotions, and people. While on the path to humanity, you stay within a social context and you maintain the semblance of a personality to make this exchange and communication possible. In the case of Sri Aurobindo, for example, he chose the path of humanity, but in his later years, he chose the path of freedom, and he didn't have almost any interaction with others anymore except the mother and some few people who were always around. For me personally, I vacillate to and fro. I need both. I call them zooming in and zooming out. But mostly I'm tending towards the path of humanity, which is also why I'm doing these videos. And the Facebook group, and answering emails and so on, writing a book, and so on and so on. This is typical path of humanity. Path of freedom, for example, we had a meeting recently where most of the people invited said, no, I don't like group meetings. So those are on the path of freedom. They don't see any necessity in interaction and exchange. And moreover, they see it as an obstacle, as a distraction. But to be on the path of freedom, I think there is a certain danger that you delve too far by yourself and then overestimate where you are and lose the grounding, especially if you haven't done your homework and done all your trauma therapy. But it is much faster. The path of freedom is much faster because there are less distractions. I personally like the path of humanity because it seems to be part of my program, but also because I like to discuss things with people on a similar stage of consciousness who disagree, who have a different kind of experience. It widens my perspective. If I only work by myself, it's needle point sharp, but it's a very small perspective. Well, if I compare my perspective with others, I often see, okay, that's also a valid perspective, and I can incorporate it. Plus, it helped me. I very much benefited on my journey so far from people who were on the path of humanity and gave me support and advice or questions, mostly questions, when I needed them. So I feel it's only fair to give back to others who also would like to benefit from support. Why am I telling you this? Because I think it's important to consider to which of these paths you tend, and also to think about what are the pros and cons, and if it's not sometimes good to also explore the other one. Okay, thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing and joining me on Patreon and Facebook and sharing the videos with your friends, and see you soon.